Well, I got to Big Bear a couple days ago. Got a ride from a trail angel who goes out there, leaves sodas, and brings people on in, so that was kind of nice. I stayed at a place right in the middle of the downtown area near a place called The Village, which is kind of a cool place. Has lots of little shops, and they've kind of made it look like an old English or an old German type village with some of the design. They have horse rides they give around there, so kind of a fun little place. Gave me a chance spending here, one to kind of recoup a little bit, but mostly to get some chores done, like the video editing, which takes a lot longer than one would think, at least for me being an amateur. Um, my food seemed to work out pretty well. When I got to town, for the first time after going a little ways, I wasn't hammered. It was a easier day, so that helped. But I also have been forcing myself to eat every hour, and that seemed to work out pretty well. So I went to the grocery store while I was here. Unfortunately, it was 2.5 miles away, and the bus system being what it is, I couldn't actually catch a bus the right way. So, uh, 2.5 miles there and back. It's always fun to do 5 miles of road walking when you're not on the trail. But got a bunch of groceries, way too many. My pack's full now because I'm thinking I have about 6 days to the next area, which will be Cajon Pass Junction. Um, but food seems to be working pretty well, so I'm going to continue with that. I've got my side hip belt loaded with food that I can snack on throughout the day. Another thing I did is some repairs. Z-Pack sent me some repair kits for my tent because it's got some holes in the bottom of it, even though Z-Pack said that you don't need a ground cover for it. And I tried to clean my area, but it got a few punctures in there. I probably repaired about 6 holes in the bottom of the tent, but that's repaired. My hip belt that was broken, they sent me a replacement hip belt, so I've replaced that, and that's working pretty well. Um, and I resized my pack completely. It's been squeaking, like I may have mentioned, and so I got a Z-Packs video, followed the instructions to the T off of their video, resized the pack completely for a full load, and I'll see if that wears better, see if the squeaking goes away. I still added some cloth tape where it was squeaking. Maybe that'll help with some of the squeaking. It's kind of annoying, but we'll see how that works out. I'm kind of taking it slowly, and I don't think I've mentioned, but one of the reasons I'm taking it slowly is uh, we got snow in different places. Had snow in San Jacinto. That was a pain going across Fuller Ridge. And I've got snow upcoming over Mount Baden-Powell, which is going to go up over 9,000 feet. And at least as of, I think, like 5 or 6 days ago, people were saying that they had to kind of just bushwhack straight up the mountain. Crampons and ice axe are recommended, so it doesn't seem that safe. But I'm about 6 days past that, and I think I have another about 8 days, approximately 9 days, till I get there. So I'm hoping that the snow's melting, just like a torrential flood of water coming down, and it's all melting, and Baden Powell will be safe. I'll see when I get there, but uh, at least I've got a little bit of time. The other reason I'm taking it slowly is the Sierras. This year would have been, or at least the time that I left would have been good for last year in 2018. But this year, with the heavy snow load, I guess it's 150% of normal in the Sierras. For this year, I'm too early, right? And my goal is I was going to get there sometime in May. My goal now is I want to get there sometime at the end of June. So I basically need to add on a month of time if I'm going to do that approximately. So I'm in no hurry to get up the trail. So if I want to spend a little more time in town, explore things, catch up on videos, do some chores, whatever, I can do that. And that's my plan. My plan also is when I get up, probably around Tehachapi, which is about the last exit point in the desert, big exit point, before heading on to Kennedy Meadows. I'm planning on exiting the trail at that point, and I'm going to cruise back to Washington for a couple weeks and see my girlfriend, see everybody, hang out, that sort of thing. And then I'll come back down here and resume the trail a little bit later. But that'll give me a more enjoyable experience for the Sierras. I don't really like hiking in snow, and I certainly don't need anything that's death defying. So that to me will be a lot more enjoyable to do that way. Um, so, kind of taking it slowly. And I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm caught up and I'm ready to go right now. Well, back on the trail. Getting a little later start, about 10 a.m. But I still can make some decent miles today before making camp. You can tell you've just left town because your pack is heavy with food and water. Whew, that's not the fun part, but the nice part is my feet don't feel like someone's been beating on them with a stick. So they've recovered, and my legs aren't tired. So that's a nice feeling. It's actually kind of good to get back on the trail again. Feels good to work the legs out. Been a decent hike today. Not too hot. In fact, it's overcast right now, and lots of nice trees here. And there's some hills up and down, so kind of a rolling hill situation, which I much prefer to all one or all the other. Got about a mile to where I plan on camping. I got up a little bit earlier today. The weather forecast is that it's supposed to rain and actually thunderstorm later. The skies are blue, which is what the weather report shows it should be right now, but starting around 10 it's supposed to rain, and by noon was supposed to thunderstorm. And I'd rather not be caught at 7,600 feet with lightning, and I'm hoping that I can either maybe get enough miles to outrun the rain in this section, or if I can't, that I'll at least be down 2,000 feet plus when lightning comes around, so that I'm not the tallest thing around. Well, I had a decent little camping spot last night. Got to sleep by myself, which was kind of nice. Was supposed to get down to 38 degrees. So I thought I'd try out my space bag just to see if that would keep me a lot warmer. So I slipped in my thermarest and quilt and everything into the space bag so that my legs, which sometimes get cold, would be in there. It's supposed to reflect 90% of the heat back to you. And I thought it's a good test. It's kind of noisy, so I wanted to try it out when I was by myself. I also tested out my bear hang. So I didn't actually hang a bear. I hang my food stack. So I did the PCT hang on a short tree. Wasn't anything tall, wouldn't stop a bear, but it was good practice, and got it out of my tent and off the ground. So when I actually go for one that needs to be 12 foot up off the ground, I'll have a better experience with that now. But back to the space bag. I woke up this morning, it kept me warm, pretty warm, and so it did work that way. But when I unpacked everything, everything was soaked. And so my quilt's wet, my pad's wet, everything was wet. Look, another blowdown. So let's go around it. But, so I'm gonna have to dry that stuff out later today. But the question is why did it get soaked that way? I did see that my filter, the little bag was kind of open. So I didn't know if maybe, because I put my filter in the foot box of my quilt to keep it warm. I do it every time in case it ever freezes. You never want your filter to freeze because then it doesn't work anymore. And that would be bad. Or was it, what else could have caused the condensation? Could have been sweat. I sweated in there and did that. Or was it just condensation inside the space bag? Just like you get on a tent wall or something. The tent walls didn't have condensation, but I did inside the bag. So I'll have to figure that one out, but it means I have to dry things out later today. I found this enclosure with what looks like solar power out here, and I'm kind of curious what it is. Huh. Well, mystery solved. Although, for me, the mystery was solved when I opened the door and could smell it. That privy must be for this little Bear Spring Trail camp, which is one of the few camps I've seen that actually have accommodations for horses. I'm still dubious that this is a horse trail based on some of the trail I've had to go over, but you can see they've got a pen and a hitching post and a place to camp there. Well, this is the time that it's supposed to be raining, at least according to the weather report I pulled back where I used to be. But I've traveled 7.5 miles and gone down 1,000 feet in elevation. So maybe I'm out of the woods, so to speak. Well, Holcomb Creek here is running really well, so I'm gonna stop, go up in a little water, and slather on some sunscreen and keep going down the trail. This is actually a good spot since there's some sun and a slight breeze to lay out my gear to get dry. Just in case there is rain later, I better take advantage of the sun. Well, I may have celebrated prematurely. It was nice and sunny, and then all of a sudden the clouds started rolling in and got overcast. And back where it came from, the clouds look real menacing. They don't look as bad with the direction I'm going, so I'm gonna hightail it that way, and hopefully I don't have to dance around in the rain. But I got my quilt packed up really quickly because I didn't want to get it rained on. But I'm glad I dried it out when I did, just in case rain does go for the rest of the afternoon. Well, the sun seems to have come out. I made it 3 miles and went down another 500 feet in elevation. And the sky behind me seems to have stopped being that dark foreboding cloud that seemed to follow me for 2 miles or so. And the sky ahead of me seems pretty open. So dare I be optimistic enough to say I avoided the rain? Well, I just passed mile 300, which is cool. I guess my reward today is I get to go to Deep Creek Hot Springs. Apparently, from what I've read, the drugs are plentiful and the clothing is not. Not that I'm going to be partaking in either one of those, but be interesting to see. I like these bridges. They're kind of a break from the monotony, and they're fun to walk across. Well, I saw the Deep Creek Hot Springs. Weren't as many springs as I thought there would be, just a few little pools. I didn't see any drug use, as far as I could tell. I did see nudity. That part was true. What? Did you think I was going to film that? Well, near as I can tell, I have to cross the creek here in the morning to get to the other side. Well, I was incorrect about that first spot. This is where I need to cross. The primary app I use for all of my wayfinding is a GPS app called GutHook, and it's pretty accurate. That right there is, I think, only the second time where it deviated from what was officially signed trail. So pretty good overall. I did 18.7 miles yesterday and camped in that kind of fine silt next to Deep Creek. It wasn't an official camping spot, but I can see others had done it before, and I'd hoped I could camp there because there aren't many spots past that for quite a while. In fact, today I'm going to go about 17 miles to get to the next one of the official one that I can camp at. So there's kind of a dearth of camping spots along this section. But the silt yesterday for that camp spot was kind of nasty. It was that same fine dirt which coats everything. So I'm gonna have to shake the dust out of everything later on down the road. I think I'm actually gonna be staying in like a picnic area today or tonight, and that will maybe have grass or something. Be a lot nicer. Tomorrow I only have about 12 miles into Cajon Junction, and I'm gonna go stay at the Best Western there and get cleaned up and have some of the famous McDonald's. It's a McDonald's that's right off the Pacific Crest Trail, so it's famous and people go there and load up and make pigs of themselves, which kind of sounds good. Well, I made pretty good time this morning. Not a lot to see. Most of it was walking through brush along ridges, up and down the ridges, with kind of grassland below. But the nice part is I made it to Silverwood Lake for lunchtime. So I found a nice shady spot here and sit next to the lake. Well, that guy scared me. Notice no rattle, but he definitely is trying to impersonate someone else. Luckily, he seemed to be more scared of me than the other way around. But I did jump back. This place is pretty cool. Got some shaded area. Down there are some dumpsters for trash, which is pretty cool. And water, that's pretty cool. And then the last thing that would be perfect is if the bathrooms are open. I see people have set up camp here before. I'll just have to figure out a place where I'm going to set up. But first, let's see. No luck on that. Well, someone will have to tell me how setting my pack on the ground can activate the lighter inside there to turn it on and actually have it start cooking a hole through my side pack and who knows what else. So hopefully I don't have to replace a bunch of stuff in there. I did get it to stop, but not before I got nastiness on my finger. That's gonna hurt. Okay, well, I think duct tape will help me in the interim. Okay, let's assess the damage here. This was nearly empty and it just got some melted stuff on there. Chapstick, okay. Looks like I've got some melted stuff here. Ugh. Nice, okay. The culprit, maybe because it doesn't have the child-proof thing on there, it's easier to start up. Maybe I need to swap that out. Bug net intact. Melted on my black diamond. Oh boy, that needs to be able to slide. I'll play with that later. Maybe I can get a replacement strap. My pins are okay. And it melted my butt. Wow. That's pretty nutty. Well, that should hold me for now. I didn't have enough duct tape because I had another repair. So I used a base of cloth tape and then put some duct tape over it. So it'll keep things in for now. Well, I'm on my way to town today. Cajon Junction, Cajon Pass, however it's referred to. I guess I'll figure that out when I get there. And the famous McDonald's, although I'll probably head to the hotel first that I'm staying at tonight and check my things in there before I think about getting food. I'll be there too late for breakfast anyway, so it won't matter, but be pretty exciting to get a shower and get some hot food. Just about 2 miles left. It's been fairly uneventful, some uphills and downhills today, but mostly downhill left, and it doesn't look like it's too steep, so that's good. If you don't think this is a famous PCT McDonald's, a wooden sign should convince you otherwise.